Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to the AFMA webinar for new coordinators. My name's Becky Webb. I'm the co-chair of the webinar committee for AFMA on the board of directors. I am here to facilitate a presentation from the NRMP for the new administrator. We currently have Jeanette Callie on the line. She is the Chief of Match Operations for the NRMP. She's been there since 2014. And she is going to do a presentation to kind of help new administrators to understand the NRMP. Which I think is fitting for the time of year that we're at currently. So I'm going to give the reins over to her. And if you have any questions or comments or anything you would like for Jeanette to answer for you, you can put it in the chat. And after she's done with her presentation, we'll go through all the questions. Alrighty. Thank you so much. And go ahead, Jeanette.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here and thrilled to be able to talk to your group. So I have a lot to cover today. So I'm going to warn you now. One, I talk fast to begin with. So just fair warning on that. And two, there are a lot of slides here, and I'm not going to cover all of them in a lot of detail because the match has a lot of detail to it. But I did want to include all of them so that you all have them. But there is a ton of information and resources on our website that's going to allow you to dig into all the detail you could ever possibly want on all of these topics. So I'm going to go surface level, so you'll have to bear with me, but we'll answer some questions, and I will endeavor to leave as much time as I can at the end. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to give a little bit about the NRMP, give a basic overview of the main residency match, talk a little bit about how to administer your program in the match. We'll get into ranking a little bit and how the matching algorithm makes all those good fun matches, and then a little bit about Match Week and SOAP as it is barreling down on us. So just a little bit about the NRMP and who we are and our mission and vision. Briefly, our mission is around matching healthcare professionals to graduate medical education positions, and our goal is always to be fair, transparent, and equitable to all parties, so both programs and applicants. So we are really a trusted global provider, and so we aim with both our data and our services to be an independent arbiter of this process that puts all of the great residents into your programs. So just a little bit about kind of what we do. Everybody generally knows our work, but the 2024 main residency match, last year's match, you've got some numbers there. So as I always say, pretty much every year, it was the largest match on record. I've said that all 11 matches that I've been at so far, and this year looks to be as large, if not significantly larger. We're up by about 4% right now in terms of the numbers of applicants, and about 4.3% in terms of the numbers of positions for the 2025 main residency match. So basically, she's big, y'all. So it's a very large match, and as always, we are really successful in filling positions. At the end of the match last year, we filled 99.6% of all the positions in the match. We also run the specialties matching service, which is 22 different fellowship matches across 77, as of this year, it'll be 81 specialties for the 2026 appointment year. So you can see a little bit of those numbers there as well. So people are like, what do you do the rest of the year? That's what we do the rest of the year. So obviously the main residency match is long, but we also run these other 22 different fellowship matches. So we are a small but mighty staff. We're only 40 people. Actually, when I first started with the NRMP, we were only 17. So we've grown quite a lot, as have the matches that we run. So to get started, one of the best places to start, especially for new administrators, is the difference between NRMP and, frankly, all the other things that are part of this process. Well, we use the term the match and going through the match very colloquially. When we talk at the NRMP about the match, we are literally talking about just the match. The match for the NRMP is actually the registration, ranking, and results process that actually creates the match results. getting your applications and the interview process, while part of what everyone calls the match, are actually separate from what the NRMP does. So NRMP and the different application services are separate organizations with separate systems. So we don't actually know what you have about your program in the ERA system. We don't know who your applicants are. We don't know who you've interviewed, and we only know about who you are in terms of your applicants when you rank applicants. So we are different organizations and systems. Obviously, there are other application services out there. ERIS is the most widely used, but there are a couple of new players in the space. Residency CAS is being used by OBGYN. Central application is being used by plastic surgery. And so there's some changing landscape around application services, but they are completely separate from the NRMP. So when you're talking about, hey, I need to go look at my applications, you're looking at logging into ERIS. But when you're talking about going in to rank your applicants after you've interviewed them, you're talking about the NRMP. And the system that we run is the Registration Ranking and Results, or R3 system. And that's the system that you use to actually participate in the match. And it's the one that we use to take those ranks and turn them into matches for your program. So we do partner with the application services for the Supplemental Offer and Acceptance Program, or SOAP, but we are separate organizations and systems. So both programs and applicants do need to register for both the application and the match separately. So that is usually always the best place to start, followed by, of course, the calendar. A lot of these dates are ones that have already passed, but just to give you kind of an overarching view of what the calendar looks like for the match season. Obviously, the match opens in September for both applicants and programs to begin registering their participation. This coming match for 2026, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we are going to be opening the match early this next year for the 2026 match, actually in May. So we will barely finish up the match in March and be ready to start opening this coming year just to programs in May for the 2026 main residency match. So that's breaking news for you all. We'll be sending out more communications about this soon, but we want everybody to get through this year's match first. But we do open the match this past year in September. Obviously, applications were available, and you all have already been through that process. And then we just recently had that quota change deadline. That is the date by which all of the programs have to decide how many positions they intend to fill in the match. That's what we mean by quota. That's also the date when programs had to have set their SOAP participation status or withdraw if they were not intending to participate in the match. And then, of course, last week, wow, was that just last week? Last week, ranking opened for both applicants and programs. And that's when programs can begin entering their rank lists of applicants that they are interested in training in their program for the 2025 appointment year. That ranking deadline is the next really big deadline, and that is on Wednesday, March 5th. And that is the rank order list certification deadline for both applicants and programs. That's the date when your programs have to have your lists in and certified to be used in the match. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like in a few minutes. We do then take 12 days after that rank order list certification deadline to actually run the matching algorithm to make all of those matches for your program. During that time, we run that matching algorithm as well as produce tens of thousands of reports. So it does take us a hot minute to do that and to validate the results of the algorithm. And once we've done that on Monday, March 17th at 10 a.m., that's when SOAP begins and when programs and applicants get their match status. So that's when you find out whether or not your program filled. You do not find out with whom you filled until Thursday, but you find out whether or not you filled on Monday. And if you didn't fill, that's when SOAP begins. So I'll show a more detailed calendar on this as well. But on Tuesday is when programs can begin reviewing SOAP applications. And then on Thursday is when we do what are called SOAP offer rounds. And then, of course, Friday, March 21st at noon Eastern Time is match day for positions that begin
on or around July 1st. So let's talk about kind of what everyone does in the match, because there are lots of roles that we require for participants in the match, with everyone kind of playing their part. So at the institution level, we have an institutional official, and that is usually your DIO, your ACG DIO, and they provide oversight for all the programs in the match at the institution. They also approve all the change requests or anything like that that come through as a part of the match. They also have an institutional administrator. Usually it's a kind of a program manager or a GME manager at the office that assists the IO with administering all the programs in the match. Then, of course, there's the program director who manages the program's participation in the match. They can activate programs, they can add program tracks, they can enter reversions, change the quota, and most importantly, they are responsible for certifying the rank order list. Program coordinators can enter that list, but they cannot certify that list. So program directors obviously play a fairly important role. There can only be one program director in the match for each program and one program coordinator in the match for each program. And the reason we do that is because it is for security purposes. The more people that have the keys to the kingdom, the harder it is to maintain security of our system. So we do limit the number of people who can participate actually with a user account in the match to only one program coordinator and one program director per program. So just to give you some kind of quick overview of the roles and responsibilities between the program director and the program coordinator. Both program director and the program coordinator have to register with the NRMP. You have individual user accounts. They're not program level. Everyone has an individual user account. One of the things that we see happen a lot is that a program director will change and the program somebody will go in and just change the program director's email to the new program director. That's not how our system works. Everyone has an individual user account. So if a user has to be updated, that can either be done through your GME office or through a request to the NRMP. So we would ask that any changes to a program coordinator or program director go to your GME office first, and then if it can be sent to the NRMP. In order for the NRMP to make the change, the program director or the program coordinator have to be listed on the ACGME as the program director or program coordinator for that program in order to make that change at the NRMP level. Program directors can activate their programs for participation. That's actually new. But when a match first opens, the institution has to be activated for participation in the match, as do all of the programs participating in the match. The institutional official can activate programs, but the program director also now can activate their own programs for participation. At this point, all of your programs are pretty much active in the match. You would know it if it weren't, because we would have reached out to you long ago if it weren't active. There are a few programs that are still not active, but most of those are ones that have just been added because of ACGME accreditation that just came through. Program directors and coordinators can both update the program directory information. Only the program director can set the SOAP participation status or adjust the quota, as well as request any changes to the program status. Both the program coordinator and the program director can enter a rank order list. But as I mentioned earlier, only the program director can certify that rank order list. Please note that sharing of an R3 system login is a violation of the match participation agreement. I'm going to let that one sit there for a minute because I do know that there are a fair number of program directors that just say, hey, just log in as me and do all of those things. That is a violation of the match participation agreement. Please note that the NRMP does investigate violations of the match participation agreement if folks are logging in as users that they shouldn't be logging in as. So please note that you should be using your own login, as should your program director. So I've talked a little bit about the R3 system. Let me show you where you get there. Obviously, this is our website at www.nrmp.org. If you click on that yellow login register button there at the top, that takes you to the R3 system. So R3 is mobile friendly. It can be accessed from all kinds of different device types, your desktop, your laptop, a tablet. I wouldn't suggest using it on your phone, but you certainly could. And, as I mentioned earlier, they are individual and not program specific. So everyone has their own user login. When you first are a new coordinator or program director, you will get an email, or when the match first opens, you'll get an email that gives you your either token link if you're new, or it will give you your username if you're a returning coordinator. So for those of you who were new, you got a token email to create a username and a password to log into the system. That's what it looks like after you've done that. And then you would be able to go in and use your username and password to log into the system. Again, if you haven't been updated as the program director or the program coordinator, in this case, you would need to either contact your GME office to make that update. Your program director can also actually add you as a program coordinator, or the NRMP can do that as well if you're listed on the ACGME website. So via an email to us, we would need the name, the email address, the date of birth of the program coordinator, and obviously the program information. And we can make those updates for you. Once everybody logs in and or registers their user account, they all have to sign, and all participants do this, a match participation agreement. That match participation agreement provides all the rules that govern the match process. It's what helps us keep things fair. So every different user of the system has a different version of the match participation agreement. There's also an important notices section that highlights the kind of most important pieces of it, and everyone electronically signs it. So this is what it looks like. Please read that match participation agreement carefully. At the end, there is a password box, and you must enter your correct password in the box to electronically sign the agreement. Keep in mind that both you and your program director's account will show as not registered until you've logged in and created your account and signed that match participation agreement. So that doesn't mean that your program is not in the match. If you see not registered next to your name or the program director's name when you log into the system, it just means that individual user hasn't completed the registration process and signed the MPA. So there's your program being in the match, and then there's your individual accounts being registered for the match. So they're kind of two different things. So there's that kind of password box that you agree to at the bottom, but it's got all the rules of the road for the match that helps keep the process fair. And we'll go over some of those rules throughout this presentation. So let's talk a little bit about administering your program in the match. Once you do get signed in and sign that match participation agreement, this is what your program looks like. On the top of the page is your user information. In the middle of the page is your program description and your NRMP program code. That's a very important code, and you're going to want to know it. And then next to that is your program status. Your program status is going to change throughout the process. So initial, active, withdrawn, not participating, ranking, and the goal is, of course, certified. Your program status is going to change depending on the current phase of the match, and of course, the status of your program in that phase. So also on the bottom, it's an abbreviated version of the match calendar. So you'll see down there on the bottom, it has some of the upcoming deadlines or milestones. So what you're going to do to actually see the details of your program is you're going to click on that program description, and that's where you can go in and view or edit your program details. So let's talk about that program code for a second there that I said was pretty important. Every program has a unique 9 to 11 character code. Characters 1 through 4 are the institution code. So in this example, it's 1000. Characters 5 through 7 are the ACGME specialty code. So in this example, it's 400, which is psychiatry. And then 8 is the program type letter. So it's categorical, advanced, reserved. P is preliminary, so it just depends. And then the last characters 9 through 11 are the character number, or they're the track number. So track number is generally going to be 0 unless an institution has more than one track of a given program type in that specialty. So you all are all family medicine programs, so all of your program codes are going to have a C in them or an N in them. Well, no, primary care will be either internal medicine or peds. So you all will all be C programs, which means you're categorical, which are categorical programs provide the full course of training to be board certified in a specialty. So all family medicine programs are categorical. why am I pointing out program codes? It's very important to provide applicants your NRMP program code during the interview process. That is what assists them in ranking your program, especially if you have multiple program tracks or types. So you want to keep that in mind. So for instance, you have a regular family medicine program track at your main institution, but then you also have a rural track out at a different program site. Those are going to be two different tracks. They're going to have two different NRMP program codes. And so you're going to want to provide your applicant pool the program codes that are relevant to that applicant, or maybe both program codes if you think they might want to rank both program codes. So any applicant can rank any program code. Again, remember, NRMP has no idea who your applicants are or what program they applied to or program track that they applied to for your program. So an applicant can rank any of your program tracks. So you do want to provide the NRMP program code or codes to them that are relevant to the applicant. Once you, on that screen there, you can see your program details. The program details are there kind of at the top of the page. You can see that there. And then you can also see your program's current status in the match. This one is initial. That's how all programs start out, is initial. And as I mentioned earlier, all programs do have to be activated. So the institution and programs both have to be active in the match before ranking can occur. So we do encourage that to happen quickly. I'm just going to, this information is here for you since most of your programs are already active. I'm going to glide on by that. But basically, programs can't make any updates until the program's been activated. So it's important to get it activated pretty quickly. The other piece of information that's very important to know about your program in the match is your quota, and that is the number of positions you intend to fill in the match. So it does roll over from the previous match. So if, for instance, your program had a temporary complement increase and the quota was increased in the 2024 match, that's what we rolled over into the 2025 match. So you want to make sure that your quota is correct. Now, we've already passed that quota change deadline. But if there are emergency circumstances, we will make changes after the quota change deadline. We don't want you to match applicants, more applicants than you're supposed to. So please make sure that your quota is correct in the match, preferably before that quota change deadline. But we will make changes in case of extreme emergency afterwards. So loss of funding, loss of accreditation, things like that. So once we get to this point in the match, your status should, of course, be active. And you can see there that quota tab that I talked about. This is what it looks like if you need to change that quota. Of course, we're past that at this point, but just so that you know what that does look like. To reiterate earlier, program coordinators cannot make quota changes. Only the program director can do that. And the institutional official has to approve those changes. The other thing, again, that we've already kind of passed with the quota change, but I just want to kind of highlight it since you're new and since you'll be hopefully taking care of this next year, is the setting the SOAP participation. Program directors do have to set their SOAP participation when the match opens. And so programs can elect whether or not they want to participate in the match, but programs that elect not to participate in the match in SOAP are prohibited from extending offers until after SOAP concludes on the Thursday of match week. So it is to your program's benefit to participate in SOAP if your program does not fill. So again, the SOAP is the Supplemental Offer and Acceptance Program, and that's how we fill unfilled programs after the matching algorithm is processed. I'm going to get more into that as well. So you can see there's a SOAP participation tab. Here's what it looks like to set it. Again, that's something that your program director does. Hopefully your SOAP participation status has already been set. If it hasn't, we sent you an email and asked you to respond back to us by the 14th. So go in and make sure that you check your program SOAP participation status. We will make those final determiners on the 14th. For programs that haven't set their status, we will turn it to no on the 14th. So make sure that your program SOAP participation status is no longer pending and that it has been set. You're also going to want to update your program information. So obviously ensuring your program director or coordinator are correct. and ensuring that your program directory information is correct. So your address, your email, your website, and the application service information that you're using for both the main match and SOAP. Because there are new application services now in the game, we do ask programs to provide what application service they're using for both the main match and SOAP. That was part of the registration process this year and going forward. And that information can always be updated in the program directory tab that I'll show you in just a second here. The program directory information is going to be in the list of unfilled programs if your program doesn't fill when the matching algorithm is processed. And that's the information we're going to provide to applicants who are unmatched during SOAP. So you're going to want to make sure that your program directory information is correct and up to date. You can see there under the program director tab, you can see what that looks like and who's registered and who's not in your program. So, and then this is what that program information looks like. And as I said there, you can update your program application information. So you want to just make sure that you're logging into that program directory information tab to make sure all that information is up to date. I mentioned earlier the concept of tracks. I won't go into huge detail. Hopefully all of your tracks are set since we're past the quota change deadline. But if your program does need additional tracks in future years, tracks can be created based on the needs of programs. So things like location, research tracks, rural tracks, external funding tracks, those all can be created as options. So there's a lot of flexibility in the match for your program if needed. And then there's also this thing called reversions that you can do between tracks to guard against your program going unfilled. So I won't go into huge detail on reversions. We could spend an hour just talking about reversions, but reversions are when you donate unfilled positions in one program track to another. That happens when the algorithm is actually running. And so it's just a way to guard against your program going unfilled during the matching algorithm. So reversions don't roll over. They do have to be created from year to year. So if you're a program that you know has reversions, the other thing I would ask that you do is go in and make sure that your reversions are set up. You can set up reversions all the way through the rank order list certification deadline, but they do have to be approved by your institutional official. So don't wait till the last minute to do that. All of those things and changes that you make throughout the season do have to be approved by your institutional officials. So as you add tracks, adjust quotas, set your SOAP participation status, all of those things have to have approval from the institutional official. But don't worry, every time your program director makes a change, the institutional official is notified via email. So you don't have to keep reaching out to your GMB office. They do get notified. They also have these lovely little yellow triangles that alert them when they log into the R3 system that there are approvals that need to be approved in the system. But you can see under the Change Requests and Approval tab in your side whether or not anything has been approved or whether or not it's still pending. So as things move to an approved status, you can see what that looks like. So just keep an eye on your change requests and approvals to make sure those do get approved by your institutional official throughout the match season. So all of that is all about getting your program ready to go and up to speed. And currently we are in actually the ranking phase of the match. So I'll talk a little bit about the ranking phase. That is where we are right now. We opened with the ranking function on the 3rd. And as I mentioned earlier, rank order lists can be entered by either the program director or the program coordinator. We would strongly encourage you not to wait till the last minute to make your rank order list. It can take significant amounts of time, especially if you have a large list. So, and if you have multiple program tracks, each track does have a separate rank order list. But the best thing to know is that applicants are ranked in order of preference with the most preferred applicant rank first. And there is no limit to the number of applicants a program can rank. And just to beat that horse till it's thoroughly dead, the program director is responsible for certifying the rank order list. Indeed, when you all look at your version of the rank order list, you will not even have a certify list button. So your system will look a little bit different than your program directors. You will not have a button to certify the list. There are a couple of different ways you can enter a rank order list. You can add by ID. The NRMP ID is the preferred identifier for a rank order list simply because it is the only identification that all applicants have who are participating. So a lot of programs do rank by AMC ID, and you can still do that, but because we have other application service providers now, not all applicants may have an AMC ID. So NRMP ID is the preferred identifier. There's also a find and add applicants option that you can use. You can search applicants by NRMP ID, AMC ID, name, medical school, FMG, or USMLE ID. So you can search for them lots of different ways. And then you can also import a rank order list. If you have a particularly long list, we would encourage you to import a rank order list. And so you can do that by creating a comma delimited CSV file with only 2 items, the rank number of each applicant, a comma, and then the identifier that you're using. Again, preferably the NRMP ID, but you can also use USMLE ID or AMC ID. So the rank number and 1 identifier is all that you'll use in that file, and you'll copy and paste that into a text box that we have that will then import a rank order list. Once that rank order list is created, there are other features, things like drag and drop. You can search your list to make sure that you've already ranked an applicant. There is a delete all button. We would encourage you to hover over that carefully. Once you delete a list, it cannot be recreated. The NRMP saves only the current list that is on file. And so once you click delete all and it empties the list, that is the current list that is on file. So please keep in mind, hover carefully over the delete all button, and there is a follow-up pop-up box that says, "Are you sure?" So make sure that you are indeed sure before you delete all. You can also print your list. So ranking can be a long process. Like I said earlier, there's kind of a lot to it. So I'm not going to go into huge detail today, but we do have a step-by-step support guide that walks you through every single step that shows you click by click on how to enter your rank order list. So I would strongly encourage you to take a look at that support guide. We actually just updated it for this match. So it's got all the latest. So we would encourage you to look at that. The biggest thing to know is that the rank order list deadline is Wednesday, March 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The ranking function will stop at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The NRMP will not edit, change, delete, or in any way change a rank order list. So the list that is in and certified at 9 p.m. Eastern Time is the list that will be used when the matching algorithm is run. So please make sure that your list is in and certified in time for the match. We have had unfortunate incidents where there have been programs that did not enter a list at all. Those programs will not be able to participate in the match if that happens. And believe me, I was yelled at by a lot of people that day. And we will not in any way, shape, or form enter a list for a program. We won't do it for applicants either. So please keep in mind that that deadline is firm and we will not make exceptions. Period. End of sentence. So very important that that date is underlined on your calendar. So here's some ranking wisdom for you. Please do provide applicants your NRMP program code. It helps them rank your program. Rank applicants in order of your true preference. There is no other ranking wisdom other than that, really, in terms of how the actual order is of your applicants. There is no gaming the system. The algorithm is going to take your list and try to make the best match possible. So do not rank based on whether or not you think an applicant wants to be at your program, because if you rank that way, then you're not giving the algorithm a chance to match you to your reach applicants. So keep that in mind, that ranking applicants in order of your true preference is the best and frankly only guidance in terms of ranking order. The other piece that's very important is to rank only applicants who meet the institution and program appointment requirements. You are responsible for making sure that your applicants meet those institution and program appointment requirements. So please make sure that your applicants all meet those requirements, because placing an applicant on your rank order list creates a binding commitment if a match occurs. So you want to make sure that you are ranking only the applicants who are eligible for your program and that you are interested and willing to train. And as I mentioned earlier, the PD is responsible for certifying the list or editing a certified list. You can edit a list after it has been certified up to the rank order list certification deadline. But it is only the program director that can click edit the list to put it back into ranking. Program coordinators can then go in and edit the list and make those changes. But again, the list must be recertified by the program director in advance of the deadline. So please keep that in mind. If there are changes that you need to make to a certified rank order list, you can do that, but it has to be recertified prior to the deadline, 9 p.m. On Wednesday, March 5th. Again, NRMP will not enter or modify rank order lists, so make sure the list that you have at the deadline is the list that you want, because that's the one we're going to use when we run the algorithm. Here's what a certified rank order list looks like. You'll see certified in green for your program status, and that's what you're looking for. So you want to make sure that that status is certified in green. And as I mentioned, there is an edit list button there for your program director if changes do need to be made. So let's talk about the matching algorithm and how it makes those matches. The matching algorithm is applicant proposing, and so the process begins with an attempt to match an applicant to the program rank number 1 by that applicant. So a match can only occur if both the applicant and the program rank each other. So the program has to rank the applicant has to rank the program, and the applicant will only match there if the program has unfilled positions or the program is filled, but the applicant is ranked higher than another applicant that's already matched tentatively to the program. So it's always a little crazy for me to explain the algorithm. We do it better in a video. And so let me just play that for you so you understand how the algorithm works. Oh, too fast I clicked.
The NRMP uses a computerized mathematical algorithm to place applicants into residency and fellowship positions. At NRMP, we call it the matching algorithm, as we use it to match applicants to their most preferred programs. The algorithm is applicant proposing, meaning it initiates placement of an applicant into a program based on the choices made on the applicant's rank order list and not a program's rank order list. However, for a match to occur, both the applicant and program must rank each other. Once started, the algorithm attempts to match each applicant to the applicant's first choice. If that can't be guaranteed, the algorithm will try to match the applicant to the second choice, and so on, until the applicant is matched or all choices have been exhausted. Let's run a match to see how it works. 5 applicants, Arthur, Sunny, Joseph, Latha, and Darius, and 3 programs, Mercy, City, and General, have submitted rank order lists. Each program has 2 openings. Starting with Arthur, we see he ranked only City. Because the algorithm is applicant proposing, it will attempt to match Arthur to City. City has ranked Arthur second, and because there are no other tentative matches for City, Arthur is tentatively matched to City. Matches are considered tentative because an applicant who is matched to a program at one point in the matching process may be removed from the program later to make space for an applicant ranked higher by the program. Sunny also ranks City first, and the algorithm attempts to match her there. City ranks Sunny third. Because City has 1 opening left, Sunny is tentatively matched to City. Joseph also ranks City first. The algorithm attempts to match Joseph to City, but because both openings are tentatively matched to higher ranked applicants, Joseph can't match at City. The algorithm now attempts to match Joseph to his second ranked program, General. General has ranked Joseph third, and since there are no tentative matches for General yet, Joseph is tentatively matched to General. Latha ranked Mercy first, but Mercy didn't rank Latha, so she can't match there. The algorithm moves to her second rank, City. City has ranked Latha, but City already has its 2 positions filled with more preferred applicants. She cannot match with City. The algorithm attempts to match Latha to her 3rd rank, General, which has 1 unfilled position, so Latha tentatively matches with General. Finally, the algorithm attempts to match Darius. Darius is ranked City first, and City is ranked Darius first. Darius receives a confirmed match because he's the applicant most preferred by City. There's no chance he will be displaced later in the process. However, since City has only 2 openings, an applicant must be removed from City to make room for Darius. That applicant is Sunny, because she is the least preferred applicant on City's rank order list. The algorithm will now attempt to match Sunny to her 2nd rank, Mercy. Mercy hasn't ranked Sunny, so she does not match to any program. The process is now complete, and the match is final. All applicants except Sunny have matched to their most preferred choices possible. Although all of Sunny's choices have been attempted, she didn't match at City because Darius and Arthur were ranked higher by City, and she couldn't match at Mercy because Mercy didn't rank her at all. City in general filled all of their positions, but Mercy is left with both positions unfilled. Mercy didn't use the match to its advantage because it submitted a short rank order list. Joseph, Latha, and Darius used the match to their advantage by ranking all acceptable programs at which they interviewed in their preferred order to maximize their chances of matching. Arthur took a real risk by ranking only City. Data showed that applicants with short lists have a higher likelihood of being unmatched. Remember, a match commitment is binding, which means an applicant is obligated to accept the position and begin training if a match occurs. To learn more about the matching algorithm, visit the NRMP website.
All right, I always feel bad for poor Sunny and for poor Mercy. As you saw in the video, if the process cannot match an applicant to his or her most preferred program, the algorithm proceeds down the applicant's list, rank by rank, until a tentative match can be made or until all the choices have been exhausted. So, and then the matches are final when the algorithm completes its cycle. There isn't a match if the applicant didn't rank the program or if the program didn't rank the applicant. So again, there has to be a mutual rank. And then the program and applicant ranked each other, but the program filled with applicants that were more preferred. So we also often get asked about the couples match. There is no actual separate couples match. Couples are coupled in that they they couple in our system, and so that the algorithm looks at them in terms of ranked pairs. So it looks at their rank order lists side by side, and if it can make a match to both partners' ranks, it will make a match at whatever rank level that both partners can match at. So that is how we make the matches. Once we run that algorithm, then we get into match week and SOAP. So what is SOAP? SOAP is not another match. We do not use the algorithm as a part of SOAP. SOAP is the Supplemental Offer and Acceptance Program, and it provides a uniform system for programs to offer unfilled positions to eligible unmatched or partially matched applicants through a series of offer rounds during match week. So, like I said earlier, programs and applicants find out whether or not they matched and filled on Monday of match week, and then applicants begin applying to unfilled programs using whatever application service the program designated. Programs then go in and review those applications, contact applicants that they're interested in, and then they enter preference lists in the NRMP's R3 system, and that is how we create offers through that series of offer rounds on Thursday of match week. Just like in the algorithm phase of the process, positions offered and accepted do constitute a binding commitment under the match participation agreement. So SOAP is a binding commitment. So if you put an applicant on your preference list during SOAP and that applicant accepts that offer during an offer round, it is a binding commitment to train that applicant. So if you are unfilled and you do go through the SOAP process, please make sure that you are vetting your applicants because that binding commitment will stand if you make an offer. So there are some policies around SOAP.
Obviously, the big policies during the matching algorithm are things like, you have to make sure that all of your applicants can meet your requirements. But during SOAP, there's some additional kinds of policies. So programs participating in SOAP must offer unfilled positions only through SOAP until SOAP ends on Thursday of match week. So you cannot go outside of the process to try and fill your positions. Programs cannot contact applicants or their representatives until an application is received. And programs cannot ask applicants to indicate whether or not they will accept an offer during the offer rounds of SOAP. So you also cannot contact any outside of SOAP applicants until SOAP ends. And yeah, you have to play the game in terms of SOAP if you are participating. So if not, then you have to wait until Thursday after SOAP concludes. There are some SOAP policies for applicants as well. They can access the list of unfilled programs only for positions that they're eligible for. They can only apply to the unfilled match participating programs. They are prohibited from using any means other than ARIS or the application designated by the program to apply to and contact those programs. And they must refrain from communicating with programs until the program contacts them directly. The other thing that you should probably know is that applicants can receive multiple offers in any SOAP round. So you might put an applicant on the top of your offer, a preference list to get an offer, and they may not accept it because they may get multiple offers. So you need to keep that in mind. So when we talk about SOAP, one, you should be prepared for it just in case. There are videos and SOAP resources out there that that'll help you understand SOAP policy and functionality, since I can't get too much into that here today. We also have an NRMP SOAP and Match Week listserv that we would encourage you to register for. Information will be coming out about that soon. And then again, I mentioned earlier, make sure that your program directory information is up to date and that everyone understands the SOAP rules. Here is that SOAP schedule I mentioned earlier. On Monday of match week, everyone finds out at 10 a.m. Programs learn if they build and applicants learn if they match. SOAP applicants can begin creating their applications and applying to programs at 11, but programs don't receive applications until Tuesday. So it gives time for the applicants to make what can be some very life-changing decisions as a part of SOAP. So they do have a little bit of time to do that. And then programs begin viewing SOAP applications, again, in either ARIS or whatever SOAP application the program is using. So again, that's not in the NRMP system, different systems. And then at 11:30 on Tuesday, programs can begin creating preference lists. But for the most part, they're not doing that. They just can. Tuesday is mostly about talking to applicants, interviewing them, and same thing on Wednesday. And that's usually when programs are entering preference lists. This is where you're at in SOAP. If your program is unfilled, you'll have a SOAP tab. You'll be able to see the unfilled programs and the SOAP programs. So you can see this is what it looks like if your program is unfilled and what your status looks like. So you can see there will be a SOAP tab, and then you would be able to view your SOAP programs in the system. Here's what that looks like once you click on that SOAP tab, and what a program looks like if it's unfilled and is participating in SOAP. And that is where you would go in and create, again, after you've reviewed your applications, talk to your applicants for SOAP, and decide who you want to put on a preference list. So this is what a preference list looks like. Again, we won't go into huge details on this, but similar to how you would rank applicants, you go in and create a preference list of applicants. I mentioned the SOAP rounds happen on Thursday. Those begin at 9 a.m., but you do have your, for those of you who fill, at 2 p.m. on Thursday of match week is when you find out with whom you filled. So those SOAP offer rounds happen on Thursday. I can't get too deep into SOAP because I do want to leave some time for questions and we're getting short on time. But I did want to talk about the offer rounds just very briefly because there's a lot of misinformation about how the SOAP offer rounds work. So if a program, for instance, has 2 unfilled positions in SOAP, When we send out offers, we only send out offers to the first 2 applicants on the preference list at the start of the SOAP round. Both offers are tracked in real time. And then if, we'll do a little flow chart here, if the positions are accepted, yes, both positions are accepted, then the program has a binding commitment with both applicants and participation in SOAP is complete. If the answer is no for both positions, then the program's positions will be offered to the next 2 available applicants on the preference list, but not until the start of the next offer round. Remember, there are 4 offer rounds. So offers are not rolling throughout a round. We only send out as many offers as there are available positions in each round. And that's to allow applicants time to decide between offers or decide what they want to do in terms of their SOAP participation. So keep that in mind as you're creating your preference list. You're going to want to create a preference list with enough applicants on it to get you through multiple rounds, because again, they may get multiple offers. If one position is accepted, the other isn't, then the program has a binding commitment with 1 applicant, and the remaining unfilled position will be offered to the next available applicant at the beginning of the next SOAP round. So here's what the rounds look like. The first one is from 9 to 11, second is from 12 to 2, third is from 3 to 5, and the fourth is from 6 to 8 p.m. And preference lists must be certified 5 minutes prior to the round beginning, or no offers will go out. You can, as an unfilled program, monitor your preference list during the SOAP rounds. So you can see what that looks like here. Again, I can't go into huge detail. You also do have the ability, after the conclusion of SOAP, of updating your list of unfilled programs. There are support guides for all of these things available in our system, but just to show you what that looks like here. Because post-SOAP, you will be able to update your list of unfilled at the conclusion if you decide not to fill those remaining positions for SOAP. And then, of course, is match day, Friday, March 21st at noon. Your match day ceremonies for medical schools happen then. Please keep in mind that the results of the match are embargoed. You receive a confidential roster, and the key word there is confidential, on Thursday. You cannot reach out to your applicants until Friday at noon. It is a violation of the match participation agreement for you to reach out to your applicants before Friday at noon. And I would actually encourage you to wait even after Friday at noon, because a lot of your applicants are participating in match day ceremonies at their school, and they may want to have that element of surprise at their match day ceremony. And if you're contacting them at noon and they haven't received their results from their medical school yet, that may be a different moment for them than they wanted. So please keep that in mind as well. We also would encourage you to print and save your results. So you want to make sure that you have done that as well. I've mentioned here that there are a ton of support resources, and I want to be able to get to questions, so I'm going to just whip through these. In the R3 system, we have a ton of resources that are linked. We would encourage you to hit that little orange I button in the R3 system to view some of those resources, but we have videos, those step-by-step support guides that are available to you. But here are some of those general resources, and I will make sure that I send the slides so that you all have these as well. So let me get over into the chat so that I can answer your questions.
Do you want me to read them to you?
I'm hopping in here really quick. Let's see.
Sure.
What do you do if an applicant on your ranked list does not have an identifier number on their application? If they don't have an NRMP ID on their application, that's not a problem. You can still search by AMC ID, but you can also search by name. You can search by medical school. You can search by USMLE ID. So you have other options to be able to search for an applicant on your rank order list. So keep in mind, if you import your rank order list and an applicant doesn't, for instance, have an AMC ID and you're using AMC ID as your identifier, it's not going to find them. So you're going to have to do a manual search for those folks. You can still import the rest of your list, but you'll need to go in make note of where that applicant was on your import, and then go in and search for them manually to put them on your list. Let's see, question. What are you required to do if an applicant reaches out prior to when allowed? If an applicant reaches out to you during SOAP and you haven't reached out to that applicant first, you should reach out to policy@nrmp.org and report that behavior. So we will investigate and sanction an applicant who has broken those rules. So please do reach out to policy@nrmp.org with any of those issues. Next question. Why doesn't the NRMP just do another fast match during match week instead of the painful process of SOAP? Because it's extremely difficult to get all of you to put in your rank order list in the month that we give you. So to have everybody doing an entire rank order list for both applicants and programs, as well as be able to run the matching algorithm during that time and ensure that the data is clean and correct, would be an extremely hard thing to do. I know everyone's like, it only takes 17 seconds to run the match. One, not true. And two, there is significantly more that goes into it than just running a fast match. So we've looked at it. We've looked at lots of different options to try and make the SOAP process less painful. But it is really tough for us to do. We would have to extend the amount of time for SOAP if we wanted to run another match. We did have a 2-phase match proposal that went out to the community, and the community was not super thrilled with it. And so we did not move forward with the 2-phase match. We never say never. We're here for the community, and if that's what the community decides they ultimately want to do, the NRMP would move forward with it. We have the ability to run a 2-phase match. That's not an issue. It's whether or not you can please all of the people all the time. Spoiler alert, you can't. But we will try, we try very hard to make our processes as least painful as possible, but we can always see what comes. But the 2-phase match proposal did not move forward because of the amount of time that it would take to get to the final at the end. What time zone are the SOAP rounds in? Always Eastern time. We always run on Eastern time. So everyone needs to make sure that you keep that in mind as you're looking at all of our calendar items. Do applicants that accept a position during SOAP at another program automatically fall off your preference list? They don't fall off, but they are grayed out, and you will be able to see your status, see their status. So it will say not available if an applicant has accepted another position during SOAP. Do the coordinator and the PD get the roster of matched applicants on Thursday? Yes, both the coordinator and the PD both have access to, and I believe are emailed the confidential roster of programs matched applicants on Thursday. Which set of applicants do the matching algorithm begin with? Does it go based upon when the applicants submit their listings? No, it is entirely random. The algorithm goes in and literally chooses at random and randomizes the entire applicant pool. That's how it runs. It has nothing to do with when lists are submitted. It's not even something that gets exported into the matching software. Wow, those were quick and easy questions. There are other people with raised hands. Pamela.
So I just wanted to add to your comment about the roster that gets emailed to the PD and to the coordinator. I've been doing this a very long time, and every year my PD gets an email, but mine somehow gets lost in La La Land into a junk folder. And so a trick that I have learned, which a lot of you will probably learn too, is that you just log into the NRMP site and you can see whether you filled or not. Because it's a stressful moment when you're waiting for that email to come to your inbox and you don't see it. You're like, what the heck is going on? And so as a little trick is that you can log right into the NRMP website and just look to see if your program is filled. So if you don't get the email, don't stress. You still have access.
That is correct. We send out hundreds of thousands of emails, as you can imagine, so we don't always make it through everybody's spam filters. So yeah, when in doubt, you can always log into the system, and keep in mind that we refer to all emails as courtesy emails because once they leave our servers, we cannot guarantee that you will get them.
What else can I tell you? And sorry, I know that I went through that very rapidly, but please keep in mind every bit of this information is available on our website. We have both a very robust policy section as well as really robust FAQs and support guides for your use.
We will also be posting this on the AFMA webinars YouTube page, this recording, so you will have all the slides also from there. But I encourage you to go to the NRMP site because that is, if anything does change, then you have the most up-to-date information from the NRMP.
I just wanted to say a big shout out and thank you, Jeanette, for taking time to do this for us because I know there's so many new administrators and coordinators out there that just get so confused and it's a very stressful process. And so having you speak to us directly, we're so grateful. Thank you so much for taking time to do this today.
Absolutely happy to do it. Sorry, it was so very, very rapid paced, but
it's a lot of information in a short amount of time. So the good thing is we can reference back to it.
Very true. Excellent. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Good luck with everyone with the match. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.
Bye.